contribute to your ascension. November 14, 2014. We note that many seekers have trouble believing or empowering the idea that you can communicate with the higher realms as purely as you now can, and we encourage you to see that as long as you let yourselves be, you're absolutely infinite in terms of what you can do and be. With the inspiration Spirit provides by your side, you're capable of doing anything you're willing to believe you're capable of. Realizing just how purely you can communicate with the higher realms will help those of you who desire to communicate but feel as if you just can't channel us as purely as so many other receptive seekers can. As long as your mind and heart are open to the brimming influence of Spirit, you'll have little difficulty communicating with the higher realms or doing anything else that requires and utilizes a deepened, more receptive spiritual perception. Your abilities are becoming as limitless as you're beginning to discover who you are, and in every moment, you can communicate with your higher selves, your guides, and various other facets of the company of heaven who seek to help you ascend and find the pure, brimming state of consciousness we've been able to find. When we were in the lower realms, we were helped by various higher dimensional souls who strive to help as many lower vibrational planets and civilizations as they could to find the light, and we in turn performed this service for the awakened and unawakened humanity. Your ability hinges on your willingness. Our goal is to help you find the blissful higher vibration we were assisted with finding, and our progress hinges entirely on your ability and willingness to be receptive to the voice of Spirit and the pure vibrations you can now feel and access. Your ability to communicate with the higher realms hinges partially on your willingness to accept that the connections you can make are real, and partially on your willingness to be as receptive to our influence as you can, and we'll recommend anyone who wants to channel us first find a deep meditation and let the inner expressions that result flow naturally. Fade as deep into your sacred center as you can, and welcome the presence of your higher self, your guides, or anyone else you wish to have communicate with humanity. Subconsciously invite us in if you feel you can, and make an effort to feel the very pure and potent connection that can result. When channeling us for the first time, many seekers struggle to properly transmit our energies and expressions because they attempt to mentally guide the communications. They attempt to have us say things they'd like to express or get out, and in doing so, their ego becomes the prominent speaker in the communication, and the purity of our otherwise very pure and genuine energy is distorted. In order to channel us properly, the influence of the ego will have to be completely diminished, and the soul channeling us will have to, again, willingly fade as deep into their sacred center as they can. Those who channel us are encouraged to go as deep as possible, all the while bringing through our energies and expressions for various seekers to benefit from. When channeling us, the best thing we can recommend is to let your physical perception completely fade. Let your perception of the reality around you, and the ego-driven perceptions and observations that come with it, fade away as you welcomingly interpret our energies and expressions. We have so much to share with you, dearest awakening seekers, and you can now open up and receive our energies in a much greater purity than many of you could in the past. Those of you who are interested in the idea of channeling us but wonder exactly how you can do so are encouraged to remain purely open and receptive, gleefully allowing the vibrations we funnel through each of our scribes to permeate your consciousness as you transmit them out loud, onto paper or onto your computers. Again, we note that many seekers have trouble accepting the idea that our communications could possibly be real or genuine, and we want you to see that you're infinite vessels who are capable of miracles that most of your society would currently label impossible or fictional. We encourage everyone to open up to the idea that you truly are infinite and capable of doing things your mainstream society wouldn't yet accept, for when you can open up and accept this, your abilities will skyrocket, and you'll enthusiastically embrace any and every practice that holds a place in your heart. Whether it's channeling, writing, playing music, or doing anything else that resonates in your heart of hearts, we absolutely encourage you to pursue it. You have little reason not to pursue the things you enjoy doing the most, and the more you pursue them, the better you'll get at them. Practice, practice, practice. Your talent will increase exponentially if you practice, 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 And the more you train yourselves at any creative venture, the sharper your ability will become. Fading deeper into your sacred center will help you do almost anything successfully, and with the greater spiritual power many of you are beginning to access by your side, you'll have little difficulty doing all of the divinely inspired things you've come to Earth to do, and you'll reach out and affect waves of others who could use the upliftment your creative works will provide. As long as those of you who've worked particularly hard continue to work as hard as you have been, you'll turn a corner and reach an unprecedented skill level that you'll use to help others embrace their creativity and their latent spirituality. What we mean is that you'll sharpen your ability to do the things you've come to Earth to do, as long as you continue to faithfully and diligently practice them. And with time, effort and patience, you'll be far better at your creative pursuits than you would have ever thought or expected. Of course, your work in helping the Earth ascend isn't necessarily about sharpening your creativity or becoming good at something. It's about using the creative ventures that resonate with you to uplift yourselves and as many others who find their way to your work as possible. Channeling the energies of the higher realms, for example, requires opening up and utilizing the greater connections you can each make, and most channelers don't channel just because they strive to expand their ability. They do it for a fresh breath of spiritual air, a fresh drink of etheric water, and their intent is usually to provide upliftment for those around them who benefit immensely from the messages they publish to your internet. You have the ability to pick up on a wealth of greater energies and expressions that you've just begun to realize you can transmit, and we excitedly await the time when all of humanity's aware of spirit and embracing the myriad creative roots that come with this awareness. The things you're doing are purifying the ascension energies you're receiving, and with every potent attempt you make to channel the higher realms or do anything else that's inspired by spirit, you uplift the collective consciousness and make it easier for waves of others to find the pure, blissful state of consciousness you're just beginning to discover and uncover. Continue to explore your deepening spiritual perception and your budding creative abilities, because you're assisting your ascension energies with their permeation of your collective consciousness. We note that some scribes do want to deepen their ability and transmit our energies even more purely than they already can, and while again, most of you aren't necessarily doing the things you are doing solely to sharpen your abilities, we understand why you'd want to increase them. From our perspective, any soul who wants to sharpen their creativity wants to do so because they intend to use it to uplift others in an even greater and more direct way, and those of you who strive to sharpen your creative skills are encouraged to see that it's a process, a journey. You aren't intended to flawlessly transmit the energies of the higher realms overnight, and the same can be said for any other creative venture that resonates with you. Instead of focusing on what you can do to sharpen your creativity, enjoy the creativity you express in this moment of now. Enjoy each and every creative work you've come to Earth to bring to humanity, because if your heart and soul aren't in it, and this includes the act of channeling, it won't be very pure or potent. Even though channeling requires the influence of the mind and ego to be diminished so the mind can act as a proper transmitter of the energies and expressions received through the heart, we'll say with love that you're intended to throw all of yourselves into the channeling process. Connect through your heart. Any communication you wish to channel will be dull and distorted if the heart isn't a prominent influencer. The heart's intended to influence the communications even while it brings our energy through, and the greater of a role it plays in the channeling process, the purer the resulting communications will be. Seek to connect with us through your opening and expanding hearts, and know that while the rest of the chakras play an important role in channeling us, the heart is the primary instrument we use to communicate with and through humanity. We use the mind as well, and the heart and mind are linked when one connects with us to produce a pure, vibrant, and flowing communication. The mind and heart work together to transmit our energies, through the voice or any other route, and when you can realize the importance of transcending the ego and rooting yourselves in the heart, the resulting communications will be far purer and more potent than they would have been if you approached the process half-heartedly or with too much of an ego-driven influence. Like we said above, meditation can also help sharpen and refine the purity of the communications you can bring through, and if you meditate on your heart, chances are good that you'll easily interpret the communications we intend to use to help the conscious public uplift themselves. We wish to address one more issue before we make our final expressions for this communication, and that's the extent to which myriad seekers tend to attach themselves to our messages or any other message that's claimed to be channeled from a higher dimensional source. Most channeled messages are genuine and really do come from the source they're claimed to come from, but the issue at hand is that many seekers will put all of their value and self-worth into the words of another entity, be them a genuinely spiritually evolved soul, a soul on earth who understandably believes they're channeling the higher realms but are really channeling a facet of their own egos, or an awakening soul who writes various things that capture the attention of many seekers. Instead of putting all of your faith and energy into the words of another, we wholeheartedly encourage you to put your faith in yourselves where it belongs, and use that faith to begin contributing to your conscious revolution in the immensely pure and potent ways you can now contribute. We recommended ceasing waiting for any bold manifestation or affirmation to appear in your physical reality, and begin contributing to your conscious revolution in our previous communication. And for this one, we'll encourage all of you who've put your faith into the various channeled messages you read every day to redirect that faith into your own creativity, your own spirituality, your own deepening perception. There's certainly nothing wrong with reading and appreciating the various messages that are published to your internet every day, but from our perspective, the best way to truly enjoy your spirituality or your ongoing ascension is to contribute to it yourselves. Contribute wholeheartedly if you feel inspired, and know that with every spiritually inspired thing you do, you truly are uplifting the collective consciousness, and making it easier for souls who might have never opened up to spirit do just that with smiles on their faces and willingness in their hearts. We want to encourage everyone out there who reads our messages to find a greater sense of self-empowerment, and when you do, you could even begin channeling the higher realms yourselves. You could open up and begin transmitting our energies for your fellow seekers to benefit from, and our scribe can say from experience that it feels much better to be an active contributor to your ascension than a simple observer. You're observers and contributors. Of course, you're all observers and contributors in your own ways. There'll be times when you simply observe your planet, and there'll be other times when you actively contribute to the restoration of consciousness and the refilling of the lighted perception each soul's intended to have. You're each contributing to your ascension in very pure and potent ways, even when you feel like you're standing still, and even simply observing your planet can be a great way to contribute. Even though it sounds contradictory, sometimes, being stationary is one of the best ways you can contribute to your conscious revolution and the ascension that's slowly yet surely delivering humanity into the higher realms. We recommend those of you who resonate with the idea that humanity's physically and spiritually evolving, embrace the role you can play in your ascension, and even when you feel like you haven't done very much with your short time on Earth, know that you're contributing far more than you think. You're very active in various realms beyond your conscious understanding, and you're actively contributing to your earthly ascension with an open and brimming heart in far more states of consciousness than the one you're currently enmeshed in. The work you're doing in various realms is far deeper and more complex than we could hope to outline through this or any other scribe, so embrace the work you've come to Earth to do, especially when you don't feel like you can embrace it at all. Like other channeled sources have said, you're going to have times of difficulty and depletion, but even in those times, you can arise and embrace spirit to a much greater extent than you previously did. All it takes is a little extra motivation to contribute to your earthly ascension in the ways you enjoy the most, and we'll make our final expressions for this communication with encouragement to see that you're far more able to contribute than many of you have let yourselves believe. Many of you are very confident about yourselves and the divinely inspired things you've come to Earth to do, but we note that some of you seem stuck on the idea that you're finite humans who aren't capable of manifesting the greater spiritual miracles you can manifest. You absolutely are capable, but the mind and ego will do everything in their power to convince you that you can't manifest any greater miracles. That you can only successfully do things you're used to doing. The next time you meet doubt or a self-instated brick wall, Call on your higher selves and guides for assistance with transcending them. In doing so, you'll find a greater sense of self-worth than you did when you struggled with the brick walls, and your resulting ability to contribute to your ascension will skyrocket as your sense of love and self-worth increases. Continue to express faith in yourselves and your abilities, and know that the harder you work, the more you uplift humanity. The more enthusiastically you contribute to your ongoing ascension, the more your enthusiasm will be returned to you in the realms beyond. Keep this in mind, and you'll never have a dull, unenjoyable or creatively dry moment again. Thank you to my higher self and spiritual guides. Channeled through Wes Anak. cultureofawareness.com